I think the funniest and the most frequent phrase that is given back to me around health and wellness is that I don't have time. And I want to tell you why that's bullshit. You do have time. You have more time than you think you do. You have far more time than you could ever possibly imagine, but you're out here mental masturbating to everything that doesn't bring you benefit. So let's break it down. You're busy. You have social events. You have a family. You want to work out. You want to make sure you can go out and drink with the boys. You want to make sure that you can have dinner without having to prep everything. I get it. Time is of the essence, and you want to make sure that you're on partnership track to make sure that you hit your goals there and you can get all the money that you want that you don't really need. But regardless, here we are. You want more money. You want a hotter body. You want to be proud of what you see in the mirror naked. You want your partner to never take their eyes off you and stop wandering their eyes to everybody else. You want that. So a big thing between where you're at now and having that type of body with that kind of confidence is scheduling your damn workouts, is getting your workouts in. So what does this look like? Well, again, if you've watched previous videos, we're looking at overall, 15 to 20 sets per muscle group per week, okay? So that's what we're looking for. That's going to be the metric that we're trying to optimize for. And that's what we're going to look at. So let's break down the issue of time. Okay, so time is, like I was saying, hilarious to me when people say, but it's one of the most frequent things that is blurted back to me, word vomited back in my lap every single time I talk to somebody about why they're not where they should be. And it's bullshit because, look, we all have 24 hours, okay? So we all have 24 hours in a day. And let's say that you're a high-performing employee, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're an associate at a big law firm, and you got to really just grind those gears and get after it because that's what it takes for you to be there long term. Gotcha. Okay. So if we look at 8 hours a day of working, okay, Monday to Friday, okay, what is that? 8 times 5 is what? 40? Got it. Okay. So we got 40 hours of work. Let's say that in full 24 hours, most people are working 8 hours, okay? So this is the day, and this is work, okay? So what does that leave us with, right? Leaves us with 16 hours. And just stay here with me. I know this is simple math so far. So we got 16 hours left in the day, okay? Let's say you get the best sleep in the world. Yeehaw, let's go. You're doing exactly what you need to do with your bedtime routine. You're waking up at the same time. You get 10 hours of sleep, okay? So you're at work, on the clock for 8 hours. You get 10 hours of sleep, okay? You are just living it up. You get 6 hours left, okay? Let's say also, damn, James, 6 hours, but I gotta drive into work. It's an hour each way, or maybe 30 minutes sometimes and an hour and a half home. Got it. So let's say you spend 2 hours a day driving. How many hours do we have left? We have 4 hours. And let's say that for an hour, from the time that you get home to the time your kids go down, there's an hour. So you have an hour for your kids. We still have 3 hours left. So when you get home and all is said and done, you have 3 hours. Let's say you eat dinner as a family. And that's another hour, right? You still have 2 hours left in your day, okay? And if we're to say you're working 8 hours a day, you're sleeping 10 hours a day, you're driving 2 hours a day, you're spending an hour with kids, you're spending an hour at dinner, you still have 2 hours. What the hell are you doing with that 2 hours? I can tell you what you're probably doing with that 2 hours. And that's either you're watching porn, you're not walking, you're playing on social media, you're watching Netflix, right? You're fiddle farting around the house, you're gossiping on the phone, or you're out drinking. Okay? Am I going to tell you that you need to stop any of those things to keep rocking and rolling? No, you choose your own life, you get to do what you want to do. But if you work this exact schedule, and so you have 40 hours of work a week, right? 8 hours a day is working. The rest of this is true. You have 2 hours left every day, right? Monday through Friday. Okay? Let's say that's the case. Over 5 days, that means that you have 10 hours to allot to something else. If you just went back on our previous videos where we had 1.5 hours a session, 3 times a week, okay? 1.5 times 3 is what? 4.5, okay? 4.5 hours of exercise a week. If we do 10 hours minus 4.5, what does that give us? 5.5 hours left. If we are jam-packed, sleeping the best that we can, 10 hours, working 8 hours, driving an hour each way, having an hour with the kids and having an hour with dinner. So having 2 slush hours for dinner and kids, boom, that puts us in a place where we have 5.5 hours Monday through Friday still left. What can you do in that 5.5 hours? Maybe you can please your partner sexually. Maybe you can be a superior man. Maybe you can plan a date or 2. Maybe you can get your steps in. Okay, legitimately, if we're talking about time as the issue, it's more about allocation and prioritization of time than it is needing more time because it doesn't exist. Okay, now, where is this more difficult? Well, sometimes you might have the same amount of hours left at the end of the day, 2 hours left total, period, end of story. But instead of sleeping 10 hours, you might be a new mom and you might be sleeping 3. Okay, and then with bebé, right? The other 7. That poses a big problem for energy, for recovery, for rest, okay? That makes it a little bit more difficult. Does not take away from the fact that across a week, which is a decent amount of time, that we have 5.5 hours left. So even if you were to say, hey, that extra 4.5 hours for those sessions, that's burned somewhere else, and all of this is the same. So same allocation, right? Maybe to different things. So you sleep 3 hours, you're working, you're with baby 7 hours, you still have 2 hours at the end of the day left that you could be allocating to something. Even if you burned another 4.5 hours a week on, extracurricular things, baby shitting in their diapers or whatever, or gossiping, I don't know, or going to doctor's appointments or whatever. You get the picture. Even if you burned another 4.5 hours and didn't get your exercise in there, well, guess what? We have 5.5 hours left in the week, which is still enough time to get those workouts in again and still have more time. Because again, 5.5 hours left. If you exercise 3 times in the week, and you said, oh man, that first 4.5 hours, I just couldn't allocate it to that. Got it. We have another 5.5. And this is just Monday to Friday. So we have Sunday to do anything else. So let's say you get here and you're like, oh, James, I just don't think that I have it there. Well, I call bullshit first and foremost. But even if you could only get one bit of exercise through all of this a week, and then you got your other 2 workouts Saturday and Sunday, and your partner watched the kid, or your mom watched the kid, or your father watched the kid, or a friend, or a babysitter, or a nanny. Look, at the end of the day, you can do this. Don't let the Matrix, right? or society, or your lazy ass friends tell you that you're not capable enough to get this done, because you are. Kid or not, you are. And so let's say, working back, you don't have kids, okay? You don't have kids, but that hour plus dinner is locked in every day because you got a client dinner and you don't have partner, you're single, sick. We still have this other 4.5 hours to work out every single week, Monday to Friday. And if that gets swallowed up because you're working more than 8 hours a day, right? That gets swallowed up, you're working 9.25 a day and you still have the commute. Well then sweet, we still have 5.5 hours Monday to Friday to get it done. The fact of the matter is that you just don't want to do the work. Is it possible? Yes. Are you going to be a muscle mommy with a brand new kiddo, working a full-time job, and be rested, and be full with food, and hit your protein goal and your steps every day? No, you're not going to be perfect, okay? It's not going to all happen at once. But if we let's play this scenario out again in a different way, okay? So let's say that let's go again. You got 24 hours in a day, right? You got 24 hours in a day. You work 12 of them, okay? So that leaves you 12 hours, okay? You commute 2, okay? You work 12, you commute 2, okay? So that leaves you 10 hours, okay? You sleep 6 hours, so that leaves you 4 hours left, okay? So you sleep 6, and then, you've got to have dinner here, so maybe that's an hour and a half. You still have 2.5 hours a day, every single day. If you have 24 hours, you work 12, you commute 2, okay? Then we sleep 6, and we have 4 left over, and then we have dinner for an hour and a half. You still have 2.5 hours. Now, is it going to be doing the things that you necessarily want to do? No. But which do you want more? Is your current situation, with the pain that you have of looking at yourself in the mirror, pain that you have putting certain clothes on, the pain that you have skipping the pool, skipping outings, not wanting to look at yourself and do the mirror test in and around the mirror when you hop out of the shower, is that pain greater than the pain of scheduling? I think so. But I can't make that decision for you. You got to make that decision. Overall, though, if you work 1.5 times as much as everyone does, and you don't have kids, right? And you still do social events, so you have the hour and a half of dinner every night. You go out 3 or 4 times a week, sick, you still have 2.5 hours a week. And not to mention, on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, you still have 2 full-ass days. So even if you had to get 2 of your 3 workouts on Saturday, Sunday, you can still do it. You just have to prioritize it. So I don't want to hear again that anyone doesn't have time, because you do. It's about the priority. Priority, right? It's about the priority and the planning. You got to prioritize and execute. You can do it. You will do it if it means enough to you. And if you need some help, slide in my DMs. Happy to offer some execution tips, and you can get after it. Hope this is helpful. Y'all be easy. Peace.